Welcome to the P's and Q's podcast by PerfectQuote. For each episode, we're going to share a pint and ask some questions to learn more about the current state of the employee benefits broker market and the future of insurance technology. Join me, Kevin Dawson, as we hear from industry leaders and insurance executives in the PerfectQuote team for great drinks and conversations. Well, welcome to the P's and Q's podcast by PerfectQuote. I'm your host, Kevin Dawson, and today I am joined by Jackie Hermes of Accelity Marketing. Jackie, welcome to the P's and Q's podcast.
What up, Kevin? How are you?
I am doing great. I'm very excited about today. I know you and I have had many conversations prior to today about a lot of things, but I'm excited because we're going to be talking about marketing. Podcasting is a tool of marketing, and so I know that you've got a lot to share with us. But before we get in, I've got a couple rapid fire questions that I'd love for our audience to kind of learn a little bit about you. So first question, what was your first job?
My first job was a bagger at Pick and Save, which is a grocery store locally. Then I got promoted to cashier, and then I got promoted to the kids corner, which is basically where people trusted me to watch their children while they shopped. Unknown. I don't know why, but
I would not want that job. I never volunteered for that job anywhere that came up. Like, no, don't give me your kids.
I love it.
All right. So you're at the bar. What is your go-to order?
Okay. I just got a new one, a Casamigos press, because I love margaritas so much, but they're so bad for you. You know, they're full of sugar and high calorie. So a Casamigos press, lower calorie, and it kind of tastes like a light margarita.
I have no idea what that is. So what goes into that?
It's Casamigos, soda, and Sprite.
Okay. Nice.
Give it a shot.
All right. What was the last place you visited?
I just got back from Peru, actually. I've been posting the pictures all over LinkedIn, like what business topic can I associate with my picture of me chilling in Peru? It was an amazing trip.
I can only imagine. I have only ventured so far as Mexico, so I've got a ways to go to get down to Peru.
Yeah, it was incredible. We did a lot of hiking and I don't know, just new countries. It was my first time in South America too.
Fantastic. You know, we actually just hired somebody in South America on our team, Daniel, who is down in Brazil.
That's amazing. I love that.
All right. Yeah. Last rapid fire question. Podcast or playlist?
Like one or the other, or favorite?
What's your go-to? If you're kind of just in the mood to listen to something, is it going to be more of a playlist or is it more of a podcast?
I go playlist just because I want to like be able to zone out, and God, I mean, if it's a playlist of lots of songs that I know the words, if I'm in the car, I will be screaming the words and dancing. I am that person and I don't care who sees it.
So who is on your playlist then?
Oh, I mean, I like every single kind of music, and I have all of these playlists that I've been building for like 10 years. And they're all Jackie's hip hop playlist, Jackie's EDM playlist, Jackie's emo playlist. And it's just every time I hear a song, I'm like, ooh, have to add it. And my kids are probably so sick of it because they hear my same playlists over and over again, but I know every word of every song.
Yep. I know if I'm in the car by myself and I have my playlist, I'm singing the words. Usually not great, but still belting it out.
Oh, I do a horrible job, but the thing is, now that I have a teenager and two preteens, I have no shame. I just embarrass them at all times. So I don't even have to be alone in the car anymore. And I think my husband's always like, oh my God, please, you're ruining the song.
I caught myself singing along to NSYNC at Walmart the other day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no shame. I would do that too.
It was so much fun. All right. So who is Accelity?
Yeah, so we are a marketing agency that works with B2B software companies on marketing and sales enablement processes. We're usually the strategy and execution arm for early stage SaaS companies. And we focus in a few different areas, one of them being InsurTech, why we're talking today, health tech, construction tech. It's a lot of older industries that are being changed by technology currently, or we're trying anyway.
It's interesting that you said, I made a post today about technology and in these old school industries where it seems to be very much like we're putting shiny new things, but we haven't changed the way we've done it. I
Mhm.
likened it to being in a Formula One car, but being instead of a brand new top of the line Formula One engine, it's a Yugo 55 engine, which is the worst engine of all time. So, since your focus is really kind of bringing these industries up to date, why such the focus there? Why is there a need for that?
Oh God, I mean, the need is huge because there are so many old processes that are being run in healthcare and insurance. I mean, I started my career in healthcare at GE Healthcare, and we were selling products into hospitals that were sometimes using pen and paper to manage medical records, which is extremely concerning as someone who uses the healthcare system. When you really dig into healthcare and insurance and you see how things are managed, it needs to change. I think if anyone saw kind of the back end of how processes are managed, or for example, my son, we were reviewing his medical bills today from just like, I don't know, he had a doctor appointment for, pink eye. And we were like, why is this so expensive? And then we saw that it was extremely overbilled. They billed it for like 44 to 60 minutes, and it was a 5-minute virtual call, and things like overbilling to collect, and usually insurance is paying it, but it was denied. And just the entire process of how it works it needs to be fixed. And I know it can have, that is a very simple explanation of a very broken process. And so that's like the greater purpose is I'm invested in helping these processes being fixed.
You know, being that I call myself a recovering broker, and having been in the industry to solve healthcare issues and trying to work with employers that look, let's figure out how to drive results. That way it's not just let me show you a renewal and we got lucky because we reduced, from a 12% increase to a 4% increase. Like that doesn't solve anything. And to your point, insurance and healthcare, because they go hand in hand, they're so antiquated. It's still very broken. I know, it feels like my dad, who started working for insurance 40 years ago on the carrier side at Blue Cross Texas, they had manual rate cards, and it feels like they're still utilizing it. I mean, I had to send in some information to Blue Cross for claims payments, and I had to mail it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't
They
just
still ask you
scan
to
and upload
fax
it.
things.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't have a fax machine. They're like, who has, I don't know. And that is a silly example, but it is very representative of what's happening still across the industry.
So I know you're very connected with a lot of things going on in the industry. And with your knowledge, what are some of the trends that you're seeing in the insurtech space that brokers are moving towards?
I mean, there are just a ton of tools available. Our prospect pool as an agency that works with insurtechs is huge. And I think that making sure one of the opportunities for brokers is making sure that they're signing on with the best of the best, that they're doing a great job evaluating tools. I think it can be really easy to look at something and be like, that makes sense, right? Or that's something I'd like to implement, or that's a great value add for our customers. But you really have to think all the way through, if I sign this on, how am I going to get my brokers to adapt to it? How am I going to make sure that they know what they're selling or what they're giving to their employers and that it's well utilized? And it's just a big project every single time that you sign on with a new insurtech. And you have to make sure that you're doing it with the right partner, I would say, is one. And I mean, God, I don't know. There are so many trends and ups and downs in the industry. I could talk all day on it.
I mean, it seems like there's so much movement to embracing technology, but at the same time, so many brokers seem to go, yeah, we need to do it,
Mhm.
but are hesitant.
Mhm.
Why do you think that there is a disconnect?
I think that a lot of brokers or agencies are generational, where they have family members, and as the new generation takes over, then it's much more likely that they will be open to try new things. And we're always looking for, so I've worked with lots of insurtechs, and we're always looking for those innovative brokers that are going to be the early adopters and the ones that are going to spread the word to the rest of their peers, or at least help us spread the word to the rest of their peers. So I think that's one thing, but also change is extremely hard, and it's hard to rip out processes that seem like they're working. When you have a process in place that has your entire team is trained on it, you have the personnel in place, it might take a long time and it might not be ideal. It can be hard to change even when you know that change is the right thing. And I think that's one of the main challenges at InsurTech space today, is that you have to really make the case and help people understand why change is a must. It's not a nice to have anymore. And by the time you get to a place where your buyers are saying, like, this process is terrible, we don't want to do this anymore, it's too late and you should have acted already.
Absolutely. I know in messaging to brokers that I've been talking to, like, because Perfect Quote is a quoting spreadsheet support platform, to get ahead of the game, waiting until fourth quarter to do something, you're already behind the eight ball.
Mhm.
Q3, like, that's kind of that preseason, setup. Like, you better be in tip top shape or just fine tuning those things. So this is the time to make a change,
Mhm.
right now in the middle of Q2.
Seriously, right now is like the most important time that I think that agencies can be making these decisions. And even myself as a company owner and a consumer of insurance, I have worked with brokers that give me a spreadsheet and they email it to me, and I have no idea, like, what it means. It's not well explained. And then we have to make edits, and it takes like weeks and weeks to do that. And I just think that process is really broken. And it's an area that's really rife for change. That's why I love working with Perfect Quote.
You know, I know a lot of what Accelity does is marketing. And while your space is insure tech, health tech, those things, for our broker audience, what are some best practices that they can use, to develop, a marketing plan? They may not have a marketing person on their team. They may not, have a budget or things, but I know it's no longer the world of who do you know, but who knows you, right?
Mhm.
So what are some things that brokers who are listening today could go, hey, how can I develop, a marketing plan to target my ideal client?
Yeah. I think that a lot of brokers, if you work for an agency that allows you to create your own content, then have at it. That's an amazing place to be. And it's something that you and I both know, the importance of creating a personal brand and posting online. If you have the leeway to do that, that's a great way to get started, because you don't have to have a marketing team that's feeding you all of the content. You don't have to have a huge budget. I would say that especially LinkedIn, which is the place that you and I guess, kind of met,
Yeah.
especially LinkedIn, the cost of entry is low, right? Like, you can post pictures, you can post videos that you record here on Zoom, you can post text posts only. And so if you commit to even just writing stories about the conversations that you're having with your customers and prospects, the issues that you're seeing in the industry, suggesting potential solutions, I think it can go pretty far. And there's a lot of strategies that you can use to grow on LinkedIn and other platforms. To me, it's all about putting a face to the service, because there are a lot of brokers out there, right? And you can make yourself look different by showing your personality and your knowledge in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of great people, in this industry who, create content on their own, whether it's,
Mhm.
doing a podcast, or let me share a story or an analogy, and talking through those things. And I think for a lot of brokers, it seems overwhelming sometimes to think about, well, how do I do this? And I know as I got started, and it was just, I've got to make myself do it,
Yes.
and build that piece. And so how would you kind of speak to a broker to say, look, this is how you overcome some of that fear?
Yeah, I mean, overcoming fear, what you just said, is probably the biggest thing, because when you put yourself out there, you probably get this. I got this when I started. They were like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" Even my dad will contact me sometimes and be like, "Is everything okay, honey? I saw your post on LinkedIn." And I'm like, "Dad, I'm out here, I'm out here telling stories about the challenges that I experience. We're having the same conversations." But I think it's weird for him because he comes from a generation, that didn't talk about that stuff and definitely didn't talk about it online. So I think that knowing that some people are not going to get what you're doing and some people are not going to agree with what you're doing, and that's okay. I think that is extremely common when you start putting yourself out there in any way, shape, or form, be it starting a business, be it building your own book of business as a broker, publishing online, etc. And then the most practical advice I can give for getting started is that you have to only bite off what you can chew. So don't put together some plan that's like, I'm gonna immediately start posting 7 days a week and I'm gonna write all of my own content. I mean, you might do it for a few weeks and then you'll fail and then you will stop doing it. It's just like when people are like, I'm going on a diet, I'm cutting my calories in half and I'm going to lift weights every day. And it's like, dude, you went too far right at the beginning. We need to tiptoe into it. One little habit, like start posting once a week and see how that feels. And then you can always up it from there. Once a week, a short text post. That is super doable. I just would try to be really, really realistic about your goals getting started in something like this.
Yeah, it can be very overwhelming. I know for me personally, when I started doing my own personal podcast, going, okay, how much can I do? Can I do audio and video at the same time? Can I do this or that? I'm like, nope, you know what? Let me just stick here and we'll see where it goes.
Seriously, I was terrified to start my podcast. I was working with a vendor who was helping me figure out how to do everything. And I was like, I don't get it. We're distributing this how, and I'm supposed to record this. I don't even know how to set up this mic. I was just very confused about everything. It seems very overwhelming to start. And now it's like, oh, I have to show up and shoot the shit on Zoom with people that are fun to talk to. Okay, that's actually really easy, but I had built it up so big in my head that it became, a blocker for me, and I dragged my feet, and it took me a long time. I had thought about and been working on launching my podcast for a long time before I did it, and now it's like second nature. It's very easy.
Absolutely. So I want to shift just a little bit. How has Accelity and Perfect Quote partnered together?
Yeah. So when we met PerfectQuote, they had an amazing product, really a best in class product that they needed more people to know about. And they needed a website and an online presence that really reflected the greatness of everything that they're building and how fun their brand is. Like they have a really fun CEO and they have lots of personalities on the team. And it's like, we want to get everyone out there and start speaking in a way that is more exciting and more fun, and even speaking at all, I guess, because they weren't really doing much as far as marketing. So what we do for them, we built them a new website, which I love. I was just looking at it today and I was like, this is so pretty. It makes me happy, which is ridiculous. But, and then quarterly, we work together on campaigns that have varying goals, and it's publishing different kinds of content and working to bring awareness to the product and ultimately bring more customers to PerfectQuote. That's the goal.
I have thoroughly enjoyed working with Accelity from a podcast perspective. We launched P's and Q's as part of a collaboration with Accelity, and as a podcaster before, not having any clue of what working with a marketing team is like. To me, this has been one of the more fun journeys to learn and see how it grows together. And like, okay, there's so many cool things that I can take away from this. And yes, sharing a better story about who we are and what we do, and not just being so product driven or
Right.
solution driven like a lot of brokers seem to be. That like, hey, we don't tell our story, we don't share about who we are, what makes us unique.
Yeah, well, especially when you're offering the same products the story is like, as a broker, the story is what sets you apart. The story, how you work, how you build relationships, your level of efficiency, driven by tools. And that is really what changes the game for you.
So last question, where can people learn more about Accelity and learn more about Jackie?
Well, LinkedIn is a good place. I'm obsessed. That's probably putting it lightly. I spend a lot of time there. So find me there. And then accelitymarketing.com and jackiehermes.com are two good places to learn more about me and the company. We also have worked with brokers or with agencies in the past. So hit me up. I'm happy to share tools, best practices, and all that good stuff.
Well, Jackie, I really appreciate you taking the time to visit with me today, answer some questions while I sip on a pint. And so, again, we really appreciate the work that Accelity has done for PerfectQuote to really help us share our story better and really, show off how awesome a product that we have and how we can really support brokers, general agents, even the carrier world with a tool that is really game changing.
It truly is. And PerfectQuote is just such a great company to work with from beginning to end. Y'all are one of our favorite clients. And I know that your customers and your partners love working with you too. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for listening to the P's and Q's podcast by PerfectQuote. To learn more about PerfectQuote, visit us at www.perfectquote.io, designed by Accelity, and follow us on LinkedIn, and feel free to reach out to us at sales@perfectquote.io, and we'll see you next time for some more pints in question with the P's and Q's podcast by PerfectQuote.